I do get nervous. I do get, butterflies before broadcasts. But the best way to combat that is just know that you're prepared. I think preparation is key, right? So whatever
True.
broadcast you go into,
Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, HOU Living in Houston. We're so happy that you're here with us today, and we have a very special guest. We have Raheel Ramzanali. He is the host of CityCast Houston, and he's joined us today. We are so grateful that you're here.
yeah, thanks for having me. It is like you want to say city center, right? Because that's a popular area, so I get it. City center is like a cool area. But yeah, CityCast Houston is the podcast that I host. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much again for being here. We know you're a very busy person, and we're grateful that you could join us today. So, can you tell us about your journey and how you became the host of CityCast Houston?
Yeah, so for me, I started doing media work in 2007 after college. So I started at a sports radio station here in Houston, and then since then, I've been lucky to work at other radio stations, do some TV along the way, and all of that, eventually led to me applying and getting this position at CityCast Houston, which has been like so much fun for me because most of my career I've just been doing sports, right? So to me, sports is fun, it's interesting, but there's more to life than sports. And I've always been somebody that enjoys talking about everything in life, right? So politics, culture, food, of course, being the big one, music, all that good stuff. So this podcast has been so much fun for me because now I can talk about everything that I enjoy and what makes our city so great, right? And share it with everyone else.
Exactly. No, I've heard some of your podcasts, and it's actually really interesting. And you're always sound so upbeat, and
Thanks.
you have you share so much information. So it is really great, and everybody should definitely listen to it. It is really
Yeah.
it just gives you so much information in a short amount of time. Because I mean everybody's always busy and they're
Yeah.
rushed. So I really like that.
Yeah, we understand that people are busy, and there are some podcasts that people will listen to that are 3 hours long, right? Like Joe
Exactly.
Rogan, Theo Vaughn, these comedians, they do long podcasts, but you have to be like really committed to that guest that's on to listen all 3 hours. Most of us, we're driving, your average commute might be 20, 25 minutes. So we try to
Exactly.
keep our podcasts under 20, 25 minutes so you can consume it in one sitting and finish it, and it needs to be informative, so we try mixing up all sorts of subjects, and we just hope that like you said, you leave that you're informed, that you love the city a little bit more, and then
Mhm.
you just have a good time listening to it. That's my whole goal, is like have fun listening to it and learn something.
Well, you've accomplished your goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, what exactly sparked your interest in broadcast, and how did you develop your skills in this field?
Yeah, so for me, what sparked for podcasting, my love for it started in college. So back in 2004, 2005, around there, when podcasting first started. Like I just aged myself a little bit there. I am a little bit older here. But back then, podcasting was just for me, it was a great way to share my work with future employers without like clogging up their emails, right? Because if you
Yeah.
wanted to send an MP3 back then, it was hard to send because the files are so big. But with podcasting, what you could do is just put it on and it remotely host it right on the cloud, and you just send a link to somebody to listen. So I would always put up all of my work on a podcast, and it was a great way to share with my friends and family when I was doing student radio at UT.
Mhm.
So that's what initially sparked my love for it, and ever since I've been doing media, I've always had a podcast on the side. Like it's just to me, it's the best way to share your work, right? You can literally send a link to somebody. It's information that you want on there, and it's
Yeah.
information that you care about, and then your listeners care about, so it's just easy to consume as well. So I've always enjoyed it, and that's what sparked the love for me.
Yeah, I think that's when you tell when that someone actually enjoys what they're doing. Because whenever I listen to one of your podcasts, nothing sounds forced. Like you can
Mm.
tell that you enjoy what you're doing and what you're talking about. So I think it really like shines through.
Oh, thank you
Definitely.
so much. Yeah, I truly do enjoy it, right? You get to,
Mhm.
when you get to share how much you love your city and things around your city with thousands of people every single morning, that's a cool feeling, right?
Yeah,
That
definitely.
like that makes you want to do more cool episodes, more informative episodes. So I appreciate the kind words.
So, as a host for CityCast Houston, what are your primary responsibilities, and what do you enjoy the most about your role?
Yeah, so for me, the primary thing is hosting. So I have to interview our guests, I have to research topics, I've got to research
Mhm.
questions with my entire team, figure out the right questions, and that's important, right? Because one of the things we just talked about, they're short episodes, so you can't
Exactly.
waste time, right? Like every question has to be important. So a
Mhm.
lot of the time goes into research. Then the actual interviews, I have to do those, then write my intros, my outros, listen to the interviews again to see what we need to cut, what we need to keep in, all that good stuff. And then there's a lot of writing as well because every podcast episode has descriptions. You've got your titles on there and stuff. So I'm doing all of that while my team is producing the episode and editing the episodes. Excuse me. So to me, like the best part of hosting is interviewing. I
Yeah.
love talking to people. I love learning about people's backgrounds, what they're interested in, what they're experts at, so then I leave the conversation more informed, right? Like selfishly, I enjoy talking to all these guests because I get smarter, right? Learning about my
Yeah.
city. So I love that part. That to me is the best part of podcasting.
That's awesome. Is there any guest, sorry, that you have interviewed that has really like left a message with you or something that really like resonated with you?
Yeah, there's been plenty. I've been lucky to interview a lot of people, not only with this podcast, but also, in my radio career as well. But with the
Yeah.
podcast specifically, one of my favorite things is interviewing my friends from the media, right? So
Okay.
you get to hang out with so many people. So, for example, I'll give you, Pooja Lodia. She's a reporter at ABC
Mhm.
13, and she's a friend of mine. And, I get to see her maybe twice a year, right? Because everyone's schedules are so busy. So
Yeah.
we don't get a chance to catch up that much. But when we have her on the podcast, it gives me a chance to talk to my friend and also share with the rest of the world how interesting my friends are or how interesting these reporters are or any guest because usually when you're on TV, you only get 2 minutes and you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about a story, right?
Exactly.
So you don't get to share your life with people. So that's one of my favorite parts is interviewing people I know so they can learn about them as well and understand why I think they're so awesome.
Oh, that's cool. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's gonna be so happy when she hears this.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope she listens. I'll share it with her.
So I have another question. How do you overcome nerves when you're gonna start a podcast or anything else you've done in the past? Because right now, whenever you're talking, it doesn't show at all. But I don't know if there's something you do, like a ritual or something you do beforehand.
I meditate for 10 minutes before every. No, I'm joking. I don't. No, no,
Oh, I
no.
thought you were
No,
real.
no I just want to throw you off. No, to me, I've been doing this for so long that I do get nervous. I do get, butterflies before broadcasts. But the best way to combat that is just know that you're prepared. I think
Mhm.
preparation is key, right? So whatever
True.
broadcast you go into, whether it be an interview right now, or if I'm going into an interview with another guest, or if I'm doing play-by-play for the UFC, and there's, last weekend we had 20 plus fights. To me, the preparation, which started all week long, when I was
Mhm.
prepared to talk about these fights, that calms my nerves because then I know, like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. I'm good at what I do. I have to remind myself sometimes, like, hey, you're good at what you do. So now just put it together and, you get to entertain people. That's the other thing I always go, you're lucky you get to entertain people, so entertain them. So, that's how I calm myself. And I tell that to anybody that has nerves talking in public speaking. The first thing you should do is figure out why are you nervous, right? In what setting? So are you doing
Mhm.
a presentation for your boss? Well, are you prepared? Do you know every single answer? Do you know every single slide? Do you know every single scenario? Because if you
Mhm.
don't, then you are going to be nervous. But if you're prepared, it's easy. I think preparation is 90% of it.
Okay. So actually, my next question is going to be if you have any advice for aspiring podcasters or people who want to follow in your footsteps.
Hmm. I would say just get a lot of experience, right? Do it. Just do an episode by yourself. Just get your iPhone out, put the voice memos app on, and just do an episode and see if you like doing it. Because a lot of people say, I want to do a podcast, right? And maybe it's for business purposes. Maybe it's for personal purposes. It's for just, I'm bored. A lot of people say they want to do it, but then when they actually do it, they go, ooh, this isn't for me. And that's fine. It's not for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, real estate, I wouldn't be able to do what you guys do. Like, I can't do it. I'm not interested in that, right?
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't be able to do it. But a lot of people will say they're interested in podcasting, but when they do it, they go, oof, this isn't fun at all. So do it first. First and foremost, try it. And if you like it and you feel like you want to make a career out of this or a side project or side hustle, then keep doing it. That's the other thing. You need to get a lot of reps. You're not going to get good overnight. You're not going to get comfortable overnight. So keep practicing, keep doing episodes, reach out to people, book them as a guest, interview your friends, your family, your neighbors, whoever. Just mimic what you want to do and do it with the resources that you have and keep doing it.
Yeah, I think actually that's one of the things I enjoy the most whenever I have to interview someone, because I feel that a lot of the pressure's off of you and it's on the other person basically.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's one thing when you're talking just to the camera, or in your case, it's just you talking to a podcast. I think sometimes more nerve-wracking for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, it is for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you're interviewing or you're talking to someone else, it feels so much better for sure.
Because it's just a conversation, right? If you're just talking, like you and I are just having a conversation right now, it happens to be that there's a mic and we're recording, but this would be a conversation if I just saw you out and about in the city and I'd never met you before and you talk to me, you're like, hey, what do you do for a living? I do a podcast. Oh, really? Tell me about this podcast, right? So it's the same thing. When you're talking to somebody else, it's a conversation. And that's why I always tell people, when you start a podcast or if you want to do radio or TV or whatever, start by interviewing people, because that's the most natural thing we already know. Exactly. We don't know how to read scripts. We don't know how to write scripts naturally, right? We don't do that. That's, you get better at with practice, or you go to school, or you take classes online. You can just go to YouTube, honestly, and learn that part. But the natural conversation is the easiest way to get started.
For sure. Can you tell us if there have been any challenging situations while you're doing the podcast, or in your past, any interviews that you can tell us about?
Yeah, there's been a lot. There's a lot of moments, right? Like, I think the funniest one to me was when I first started doing play-by-play for the UFC, which is mixed martial arts, right? I do play-by-play for a company called Fury Fighting Championship on UFC Fight Pass. So it's on UFC Fight Pass, which has, millions of people watching at any time around the globe, all that stuff, right? So it's a big audience.
Yeah.
So you're under the microscope a lot. And I didn't know this, okay? I got this gig because I had been doing some stuff with this company, and I know people there, and they're like, hey, why don't you come do play-by-play for us? And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And I've done it before. And they told me it's on UFC Fight Pass. I said, okay, cool. I didn't think anything of it. The first broadcast I did, our setup was different. Usually we're away from the cage a little bit where you can talk and the fighters won't hear you. But this one, we were really close. So I was being a little quiet when I was talking. So there's a big knockout, a big moment, and I just said, Diaz knocks out Robinson. I'm just making up names. Yeah. I just said it literally like that instead of like being excited. So the UFC Fight Pass account tweeted that out and made fun of me, and I was like, oh no, this is so embarrassing. So like learning on the job sometimes of like remembering that, hey, even if there are fighters and you're criticizing them, you got to be loud. You got to be excited for every single fight. That was a challenging thing and a funny moment, right? Like to me, I don't care if you make fun of me. It's not a big deal. But I learned from that. Now I yell every time there's a knockout. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can actually understand in the sense that you're right next to fighters. What if they get like offended what you're saying and they come out and want to, I mean, I know they're professionals, so they're good, but still.
like you don't want to be too excited either that, like somebody just got knocked out. Like
Exactly.
it's physically, like
That's your
altering
human
for them.
side that said, I don't want to
Yeah.
be too excited.
Yeah. So like, but now I don't care. Now I just do it.
And well, I actually read in your profile that your favorite restaurant is Aga's.
Yes.
That's actually mine favorite restaurant too.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it is my favorite restaurant in Houston. I love it. I have to have it like once a month. I know the owners and their sons I played basketball with, so I've known them pretty much their whole life because they're younger than me. So I love it. I respect them as, as a family. I respect what they've done with the business, but at the end of the day, their food is really good. So
Oh my God, so
yeah,
good.
it is so good. I had Shokat, Uncle Shokat Maradia, the owner, one of the owners of Aga's, on CityCast Houston, and that was our most popular food episode we've ever done because, the Desi community doesn't get that much love, right? So
Yeah.
once we started sharing it out, everyone got a hold of it and everybody shared the episode with each other, and that was so cool. But at the end of the day, everyone told me the same thing. They're like, it's such a good story and it's so awesome to see what they've built. But the reason we like Aga's is because the food is good, right? Like
Yeah.
at the end, the
It's
food is
consistently good.
consistently
They
good.
actually catered my wedding, my
Oh
wedding reception.
wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man!
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite. I love Aga's catering. That to me, like whenever any of my friends get married, we all use Aga's, right, for any of our
Yeah.
events because it's consistently good, like you mentioned.
Exactly.
So like I look forward to it. I circle it on my calendar. It's like all you can eat Aga's this day. So shout out to them. But what's your favorite thing to get there?
Oh my God, there's so much. I every time I go, I order something different, but I think definitely like the lamb chops, the lamb, the goat something. It's so much stuff
Yes,
is
so
good.
many good things.
Yeah,
Yeah, their goat
even like
chops
the
are so good.
vegetarian stuff is good, but
Yeah.
I honestly I go for the meat stuff.
Yeah, that's their barbecue is good. Their kebabs are good. Chicken tikka is good.
Yeah.
To me,
I
my
even
favorite
tried
thing.
once
Yeah.
the samosas. Those are
Oh
amazing.
yeah, their
Yeah.
samosas are good. Their
So
desserts are
good.
really good. Their mithai
Mhm.
chaat. Oh my gosh, with kulfi on top. Love it. That's one of my favorite things.
You're making me hungry, and I'm
I
gonna
know,
tell my
right?
husband to take me to Agas right now.
You know what? One of my favorite things there is on the weekends you get a Hawapuri breakfast there.
Oh
And they
wow.
only do it on the weekends, and it is outstanding. Like you have to try it. So that's also my little tip for everybody. If you go on the weekends, get the halal puri. I like their white chicken karai kebab or hold on, white chicken kebab karai. So that one's really good. Their paneer makhni is good.
Oh, I've tried that one. It's
Yeah, and their
amazing.
naan is so good. They have their naan. They have like a machine that makes it thousands of naans. Just
Oh really?
roll.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Oh, no
Yeah,
wonder they have like so many different flavors as well.
yeah, there's so many. I mean, because just think about it, on a Friday night, he told me on a Friday and Saturday night they serve 3,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of naan. So you can't just have one person making that. So a little insider tip there for everybody.
That's awesome. They should actually invite us to do a show there.
Right? Anytime, just hey, anytime you want to do it, we can arrange it. They're always like, hey, come by anytime. I'm like, good, I will come every day if you tell me that. Like.
I know, right? So this has actually been really great. I really appreciate that you were here with us today. I don't know if you want to give any last tips or anything else to our viewers that are
Yeah.
watching.
Just if anybody's interested in doing a podcast or any kind of media work, whether you're, mid-career, you're a student, whatever your scenario may be, pursue it. It's not a traditional job. It's not something in our culture, right? In the South Asian culture, not many
Yeah.
people do it either. So, try it. That's one of my big things. I always tell people at least try it, right? Like that's why I got into it. I love doing what I do. But I also realized pretty early in my career that there's not many Desis or South Asians doing this. So I've made it a priority in my career to go out and inspire the next generation to make sure they
Mhm.
want to do it. And if they want to do it, I can help them out. So I think that's really important. Try it out, see if you can do it or not. And then if you want to follow me, follow me on Instagram at Raheel Doing Things or on x.com or twitter.com, whichever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Twitter still. I hate saying x.com. It feels dirty. I don't know. It feels like It's like an adult website. I can't like seriously tell somebody follow me on x.com. But follow me on Twitter, _Raheel, or just Google my name. You'll find all of the profiles, and you'll find CityCast Houston, which you can subscribe to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, you can find it. So, thank you for supporting, and a lot of love to all the people who listen and subscribe already. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And we will be putting Raheel's and the CityCast Houston website in the link below. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, whether you're moving to Houston in 9 days or 90 days, we're here for you. Till next time.